Welcome back to Djji Tutorials. Let's dive into what you'll need to know after you've done your taxes, including understanding your notice of assessment, paying off a balance owing, and interacting with the Canada Revenue Agency, or CRA. A notice of assessment is a tax document the Canada Revenue Agency, or CRA, sends you after processing and assessing your income tax and benefit return. You'll receive a notice for every tax return you file. Your notice is your summary for a tax year, based on the income, deductions, and credits you report on your tax return. Also, your notice may contain information you will need when you do your taxes for the next tax year. You should not share your personal information unless it is necessary. For example, the information from your notice may be used to identify you when you call the CRA. You may also be asked to provide a copy of your notice to a financial institution or a community organization to prove that you did your taxes or what your income was in the previous year. If you or the CRA changes your tax return after the first assessment, you will receive a notice of reassessment. A notice of reassessment looks like a notice of assessment, but a notice of reassessment will have information about changes to your return. The first page of your notice of assessment provides you with the following information: your name and address. Your notice details a message from the Commissioner and an account summary showing the final result of your tax return. Just a quick note, electronic and paper versions of your notice may look a bit different, but they contain the same information. On the top right corner, you will notice a code. This code comprises of 8 characters, including numbers and letters. It's not mandatory, but if you do not enter your access code when you do your taxes electronically, you won't be able to use any information from that tax return when confirming your identity with the CRA. Fast fact: if you had a balance owing when you did your taxes but have since paid the amount, your notice will still show the balance as it was when your return was assessed. If you need proof that you paid the amount, you can print a statement from My Account or contact the CRA to ask for printed confirmation. My Account is the CRA's secure online portal for individuals to view and manage personal income tax and benefit information. You must have filed your taxes at least once before you can register for this service. So, the Summary of Account section on your Notice of Assessment actually shows the main lines of your tax return. The Canada Revenue Agency used the amounts you see here to calculate your final result, which could be a refund, a balance owing, or maybe even a zero balance. The amounts you'll see in this section include things like your total income, net income, taxable income total, non-refundable tax credits, net federal and provincial or territorial tax total, payable total credits, and the balance from this assessment, which could be a refund, a balance owing, or a zero balance. Just keep in mind, the amounts might not match exactly what you reported on your return if the CRA has made any changes. You will also see any penalty and interest the CRA may have charged, and if you have a balance owing on your account from another tax return that you haven't paid yet, that balance will show up here as well. So, this section of the Notice of Assessment explains in detail any changes or corrections the CRA made to your tax return. Sometimes, the CRA will make a change based on the information you sent with your return. Other times, the change is based on information the CRA already has on file. For example, the CRA will automatically include any unused tuition amounts you have on file if you forgot to include them when you did your taxes. Make sure to read this section carefully to understand the final result of your assessment and to learn if you need to do anything to correct your return. Some of the key amounts you'll see in this section include: first, your RRSP deduction limit. This is the amount of RRSP contributions you can deduct for the next tax year, and your notice will show how the CRA calculated this amount. Second, your unused RRSP contributions. If you reported RRSP contributions in previous years but didn't claim a deduction for them, they'll show here. You can still deduct them in future years, as long as the amounts are within your deduction limit. Okay, so let's talk about your available contribution room. This is basically the maximum amount you can contribute for the next tax year, and it takes any of your unused contributions into account. If your RRSP contributions end up being more than this amount, you'll have an excess of contributions and, well, you might have to pay tax on that extra amount. If you have any carry-forward amounts available, like unused tuition amounts, your notice will show those amounts here. This info is actually super helpful when you do your taxes for the next tax year, since those amounts can reduce the tax you might have to pay in a future year. Home Buyers Plan, or HBP, or the Lifelong Learning Plan, LLP, maybe you've used money from your RRSP to buy a home through the HBP, or to help pay for full-time training or education through the LLP. Both of these programs mean you need to repay the money to your RRSP over a set period of time. So your notice might show your remaining balance to repay, and your minimum required repayment for the next year. So your notice will include CRA information and resources to help you out after you've done your taxes. For example, it'll tell you what to do if you move, or if you want to change your return, or even if you want to register a formal dispute, which is called an objection. You'll also see definitions and links to web pages that give you more info about things like help for persons with hearing, speech, or visual impairments, My Account, and how to spot fraudulent communications or scams. Here's how you get a copy of your Notice of Assessment. The CRA sends you your Notice of Assessment, or NOA, after they've assessed your return. If your correspondence preferences are set to electronic mail, you'll get an email letting you know you have mail in My Account when it's ready. The only way to read your online mail, like your Notice of Assessment, is by using My Account. Now, if electronic mail isn't ticked in your correspondence preferences, you'll get a paper copy of your Notice of Assessment. Your notice will still be available to view in My Account, but you just won't receive an email notification about it. If you are registered for My Account and use NetFile certified tax software to do your taxes electronically, you can use the Express NOA service. The Express NOA will be delivered into your software right after filing your return. If you need another copy of your notice, you can access it online in My Account, or request a copy by contacting the CRA. You can also request your notice in a different format, such as Braille, large print, or even audio. Proof of income statement. Organizations like your financial institution might ask you to provide a proof of income statement or an Option C print. The print is a version of your return. A proof of income statement has much of the same information as your Notice of Assessment and looks very similar to it. The statement shows the income, deductions, and tax credits the CRA used to assess your tax return. However, the statement does not include an explanation of changes or additional information. You can get a proof of income statement online from My Account or by contacting the CRA. If you find this useful, please share. See you next time in our next video.